On this episode of Southeast Iowa Today, I am part of something special today. It's the Red Flag Horseless Carriage Tour. And right now, where I'm recording this at, I'm in Burlington, Iowa, but we started out in Mount Pleasant, Iowa today, and you're going to see where we started out and met some really neat people today. I'm going to take you on a ride in some very vintage cars that are over 100 years old, and I actually got to ride in them. I'm going to take you along on that. And this episode is brought to you by Griner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa, using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa, no matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix and clean and customize it. McDonald Boneyard of Keota, Iowa, for all of your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. Hinshaw Trailer Sales of Richland, Iowa. You need a trailer. They've got your trailer, and they fix what they sell and don't in their full-time repair shop. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. B&B Propane and the family of Jet Stops. And Blue Dog Lawn Care of Wayland, Iowa, for all of your residential and commercial lawn care needs. And when the snow starts flying, they'll remove that for you too. They all present Southeast Iowa Today. I'm John Bain, author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host. Let's go on the Red Flag Horseless Carriage Tour. Mark, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I'm excited. I get to be part of the Red Flag Horseless Carriage Tour today, and today is September 27th, 2024. And please tell me and the audience, how did this all get started?
Well, it's a very interesting story. We'll go back in history to 1896 in England. The law at that time, they had vehicles over there, but they were still very new. And the law in 1896 in England was that you could drive your car, they called them light locomotives then, but you could drive your light locomotive 4 miles per hour, and you had to have a person walk in front of the car waving a red flag because cars were new enough that the sounds of the motor scared all the horses and the farm animals. Roads were...
And maybe a few people.
Roads were non-existent, dirt paths. People weren't used to driving motored vehicles, so lots of times it was either full blast or not, and so they had to have a person walk in front with a red flag waving it to let everybody know that a motorized vehicle was on the way.
So 4 miles per hour, that doesn't seem like a big deal, but that's probably a good little clip for walking.
Oh yeah. And once again, cars were relatively new, brakes weren't always the best, motors raced, and they just didn't really know how to operate all of them. They were new.
I wonder how many folks that were walking in front got run over.
I would imagine. It was a very dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Automotive was very, very dangerous at the beginning because people just didn't know how to steer correctly and whatnot.
And the crazy thing is, just think we had cell phones back then.
Oh.
Considering what we see nowadays.
Oh, I know. Well, in 1896, they realized that this was sort of an archaic idea now, so they changed the law, and so you could drive, it went from 4 to 14 miles per hour, and they abolished the red flag waiver in the front of the cars.
Okay.
So in 1896, they established a vehicle tour that started in London, England, and went to Brighton, England.
Okay.
And they still do that tour to this day to celebrate the emancipation of the red flag.
Okay.
We just happen to be one of the few places in the United States where we have a New London, close enough to a Brighton to recreate that travel.
How cool is that?
It is. It's just really kind of a unique circumstance for us here. So this is our 14th tour, but we actually started a couple years before we had our first tour. We got some folks together. They actually had gone to another New London to Brighton or London to Brighton tour in the United States and kind of watched how that all happened. and decided that this was a great way to introduce people from across the country to what we have here in Southeast Iowa. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful things that we have right in our little area that you don't see up and down the road, you know?
There sure is.
And so we thought it would be a great way to welcome people to our area of the country, see some of the beauty that we have here in Southeast Iowa, and help with the tourism piece of it, along with prolificating the history of the automobile and the wonder of some of the older vehicles that you'll see on this tour. And so we put together, I was on the city council in New London at the time. We worked together with the city of Mount Pleasant and Brighton to get this tour all put together. We developed a great board of people to kind of help make things happen, and it kind of took off from there.
It's really incredible when you, I mean, the automobile has brought a certain freedom not only to this country but other countries, and it's like one of the last places in the world where you are free to go and roam.
Oh, sure.
And go where you want to go, and it's happened way back in 1896 and
before,
yeah. And here we are in 2024 still enjoying the automobile. I was talking to one of your members a little earlier off camera, and I said that what's really neat about these cars is, like, you look at the cars, and I was saying, you go out and you look at how roads are built and everything in today, and I always think back, just imagine what it was like when these roads weren't here and people were in horses, with wagons and trying to make their way.
Sure.
And then along come automobiles like what we have out here today. They were so much faster, so much more comfortable, but when you compare them to today's cheapest car made, they come nowhere close to the technology and the comfort and the speed that is available now. But the thing that cars today cannot give us, that these cars can give us, is the nostalgia and, and the living history.
Yeah. And there's many of these car owners, these cars have either been passed down through family members, or they were purchased from friends who had them passed down through family members.
And when that happens, their family members and friends are riding with them.
They sure are. They sure are. It's just a fantastic way for them to see things, have that freedom, like you said, to do some traveling and sightseeing. And our challenge as a board for the Red Flag Horseless Carriage Tour has been to come up with interesting places to take them here in Southeast Iowa to kind of show off things that we've done. One year we took them to the prison in Fort Madison.
Yeah.
And what a historic place that is. But when you get some of these older cars out in front of that prison and you realize, even though we're looking at these cars as being old, that prison is 75 years older than most of the cars. So,
isn't that something?
Yeah. And then we, in the same year of the tour, we took them to Fredonia, to the Old Prisoner Road, and kind of made that connection together. So we try to put a tour together that's appealing to them, that's interesting. They get to see the sights.
Now, it started yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. The 26th.
Right.
Did you, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you went to the Pearl Button Museum?
Pearl Button Museum up in Muscatine, yeah. And then today, I mean, that was just a fantastic thing. You know, you don't always realize what you have sort of in your own backyard, you know, and those are the kinds of things that we like to invite people from all across the country to see. And sometimes there are even people that even live right in our own little area that haven't. Well,
it's like those people that live in New York and have never been to the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, right.
Same thing.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. So we try to introduce them to all kinds of interesting things. Today we're going to be going to Burlington. We'll go down through Lake Geode, and the last time we took them to Lake Geode, it was drained while they were doing the rework on that, but now it's filled back up, so we'll have the opportunity to show that to them. and then we'll go down to Crapo Park in Burlington, very historic park in southeast Iowa. A beautiful overlook over the Mississippi with those big cannon guns, you know, there. And we'll let them kind of walk around the park and whatnot. And then we'll go down to the Port of Burlington for our lunch, and then tour Memorial Auditorium, which has beautiful Art Deco decorations and architecture. And then we'll come back up on Highway 99 on the Old River Road and give them more opportunity to see the beauty of the Mississippi, and then come on back to Mount Pleasant. Tonight we'll actually have a banquet, and our speaker will kind of give us some of the history and details of the Mississippi River and dams and bridges and that kind of stuff. So
it's going to be a fun day.
Yeah, they'll get some history with that. So.
I've got to ask, since we're standing in front of this old fire truck, you got to tell me just a quick little bit about it, because people are watching this saying, what year is that? What is it?
It's a 1927, if I'm not mistaken, 26 or 27. It's an REO.
There you go. And for all you rockers out there, you know where REO Speedwagon comes from, right here.
Anyway, this actually was donated to the Red Flag Horseless Carriage Tour.
Wow.
By a wonderful gentleman named John Quam. And when this fire truck came to us, it was mostly pieces.
Really?
And so we spent several weeks and several different times as a board coming together, putting it back together, cleaning it all up, making sure that it runs, and it has been our signature piece for. Well,
I see you obviously, you guys are modest. You had a very great bunch of craftsmen, artists, and mechanics.
Yeah, that is 100% true, except for me. I'm not much of a mechanic at all, and I learned an awful lot. That's what I see, one of the things that I see about this tour, and I suppose people would see in other kind of antique car tours, is if one person has a breakdown, there's suddenly 6 other car drivers that are there to kind of help them get it all fixed up.
That's awesome.
Camaraderie to the best form, you know. I just kind of love that.
I'll tell you, car guys are some of the best people in the world.
They certainly are. They certainly are.
Well, I am looking forward today. I need to tell the audience right now, this is 10 minutes and 28 seconds, now 30 seconds of podcast excellence. So Mark,
gosh.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. All right, good morning, everybody. If we can kind of gather around up here, we'll get started for our morning. We'll have our drivers meeting, and we'll get ready to rock and roll for the day. All right. We'll start off our day with our prayer for safe travels this morning. If you'll join me, please. Dear Lord, I ask for your protection on the journeys that we are about to undertake. Surround us with your presence, shield us from harm, and make our travel safe. In your name we pray, amen. So a couple of goody things that we're going to do today. The first thing that I'd like to tell you is that before we depart today, before we load up in our cars to go, we want you to come over to the fire truck. And after the driver's meeting, we'll come over to the fire truck, and we'll have a group photo in front of the fire truck this morning so that we can get that taken care of before we take off for the day. Also, we'll have a speech coming up from John, who is a podcaster who is helping us throughout the day today. He'll be joining us on the tour. So we'll talk to John in just a minute. But first, I'm going to hand it over to Dave and let him kind of run through the things for the day.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the tour again this morning. I want to thank you all for being here. Just a couple of quick updates this morning. When we were putting out signs last night, we realized that we are human. I did make an error in the book. The upside is my good friend Jeff Krug and Bart, they picked up on it. They've got the correct sign out. So when we leave Lake Geode, when we leave there, you're going to come up to a road called Racine Avenue. In the book, it says turn left. You need to turn right. So if it says left and you see a right sign, follow the sign, not my book. Okay?
Right, Racine. Right. right racing.
We will also have Bart there at the corner to make sure that we get everybody on track. Other than that, we have signs out everywhere. As long as the city of Muscatine doesn't come down to Burlington today, we'll be okay. One other thing that I'm going to add, where we're going to have our break stop this morning, my girlfriend Stacy will be there to serve you donuts and beverages. There is a bathroom there. I will forewarn you, it is a bathroom in a state park. So it is a little bit primitive. It's usable, it's clean, but it is in a state park. If you want something other than that, when you go through New London, Iowa today, there's a Casey's store on the right-hand side, just as you leave New London. So bear that in mind. Other than that, looks like we're going to have a great tour today. Again, thank you all for being here. We'll have a great meal for you there. It'll be served by the Drake restaurant that Mark has so graciously arranged for us down there as well. And we get done with that, we'll go tour the Memorial Auditorium. On your way back, I'll remind you, there is another ice cream store on the way back as well. So we'll get you directed into that as well. Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce John.
Here we go. My friend Larry Google is with me, and we are in the back seat of Wes and Sue Renard's 1909 Mason. We're leaving Mount Pleasant, making our way to Burlington. And that corn's getting ready to pick, Larry.
Yes, it is. That time of year.
Yes. Well, as we go along, I'll come in and out for segments to show you some of the beautiful scenery and landscape of southeast Iowa. Well, according to my friend Larry's fancy smartphone, we're going 22.8 miles per hour, heading out of Mount Pleasant. Friday morning, a little overcast and chilly, but it's warm in here. Yeah, nice and blanket. Hope you're enjoying the ride and this episode. And if so, and I know you will, please make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. It's free. This back window. Yeah, we definitely have doors. It's a bit windy, and I don't know how. That's a lot of hay. Racine Avenue. And coming into New London, right, Larry?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to be here for a little bit. This train's got some hauling to do. I think I see the tail end coming. You definitely get a different perspective and a neat perspective in this vehicle. 1909 Mason. Hello, New London. Hopefully a year from now, the price of that gas will be down $1 a gallon.
This is going to start tomorrow morning.
Okay. It's like we've gone back in time. Listen to that engine, folks. You get a whole different perspective of the world. I hope you're enjoying this episode half as much as I enjoy bringing it to you, because if you are, you're liking it a lot. And if so, make sure to give this episode a like and make sure to follow and subscribe. It's free and I appreciate you. Wes, thank you so much for allowing myself and my friend Larry to ride with you in this beautiful 1909 Mason.
You're welcome.
Automobile. And I want to get you over here closer to the car and show folks just what a neat vehicle this is. And we were talking off camera and you started telling me a wealth of information about the history of this car. and let's share that with the audience. Tell us about the Mason.
Well, this is the first car designed by Fred Maytag. Fred Mason,
Huh.
excuse me, Fred Duesenberg,
Okay.
and it was made in Des Moines. He was interested in building a car, and Ed Mason gave him $25,000, which is about $750,000 in today's money,
Okay.
to start the car company. That's not very much money to start a car.
No.
But they built them from 1906 to 1908, the first generation, and then they made improvements. And this is the first year that they had the improvements. It has a brass radiator and some various other things. So this is a 1909. This car was actually made in Des Moines, downtown Des Moines, on 5th and Grand. Or
That's
5th
incredible.
And Vine. And there's probably, what I can estimate, in March or April of 1909 it was built. And then the end of June, Fred Maytag took controlling interest of the company, and he built Maytag Masons.
Wow.
So then they built those. They actually moved the factory from Des Moines to Waterloo, and they made them until 1912, when they got a little overextended, and Ed Mason bought the company back, and they made Masons until, we think, about 1915.
Really?
Well, not very many. So there's 1,500 cars that we believe were built.
All built in the state of Iowa.
All built in the state of Iowa. There's 18 two-cylinders left and 1 4-cylinder.
And
Better
what
know.
is this one?
This is a 2-cylinder.
Okay. Well, there were some times we were going downhill. We hit 37 miles per hour.
Oh, wow.
My friend Larry had an app on his phone, and he was tracking us. And mainly we were about 27, 28. That sound right?
25 is a nice speed, I usually figure.
All right. Well, you had a couple. Well, at least one big boy in the back, and then Larry too. And car did great. It was awesome.
It's known as a hill climber. That's how they market it, and it does really get down and lug.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how in the world did you end up with this car?
I've been involved in antique cars my whole life, and my father was in antique cars, and my mother. They put up a plaque. Our Des Moines Club put up a plaque on 9th and Grand, where the Duesenberg brothers had their first garage. And when they put the plaque up, my father was looking for all the different Masons and Maytags that he could find to come to that dedication. And he found this one. It was in Omaha. The gentleman was not able to come over to it, but there were several other Maytag Masons that were there. So I became aware of this one, and that was about not quite 30 years ago.
Okay.
And I've followed it and been interested in it, and the gentleman that had it was finally interested in selling it, and I was able to buy it from him about 7 years ago.
Okay. Wow. It is just a beautiful car. I mean, was it in this condition when you got it, or did you have to do extra?
It was in very good condition. It had been reupholstered and painted in 1950. It's actually, the car was sold new in Dallas area, and it was in a little town called Valdosta, Texas.
I'll be darned.
That was south of Dallas. The gentleman owned a cotton gin, so he had some money. It was $1,350 in 1909, which is about equivalent to $40,000 now.
Wow.
And it was the first car in the county, so it was a rich man's toy.
Yeah.
He had some money because of his cotton gin, I believe. But anyhow, Valdosta peaked about 150 people in the 1920s.
Okay.
So it was not a very big place, and I've visited the place several times. I've been in contact with a relative of his, so I've got quite a bit of history from him, and that's what I enjoy. Getting the history of the car as well as this. The car was known. There's some write-ups in some county records about it. Like I said, it was one of the first ones in the area. So then it was about till 1950. It was in the family, and then the eldest son inherited it after his parents passed away.
Okay.
And then it was sold to two gentlemen that put paint and upholstery in it, and then they sold it to a gentleman, Al Pabst, that was in Dallas. He kept it until he passed away in the 80s. And then the gentleman that I bought it from bought it.
Right.
So he has had it for quite a while.
Now, when you need new parts, because it's mechanical. Things break down. It's not like you can go to AutoZone and get what you need.
I've been fortunate. I mean, some of the parts are common, but then the other parts you just have to make. And
So you actually make the parts.
Yeah, that's part of the fun.
Okay.
Doing that, I've been fortunate, and I've been able to get everything done. I did have a gentleman make some parts that I wasn't capable of doing.
Wow.
But that's what's fun about them.
Now, what octane gas do you run in this?
It will run on the alcohol,
Okay.
ethanol, but I like to run the non-alcohol just because it stores better. So I don't know how much gas I'm gonna have left. So I usually run the 91 octane.
Okay.
But it runs on either of them.
Okay. Wow. That's so. If you're in a place where you can't necessarily find 91, which I think you can pretty much everywhere, but you
It
can
runs
run
fine
with the
on
87
alcohol,
or
yeah.
something. Yeah. Wow. Can you show me and show us, the audience too, like the horn? I mean, we were out on the road and you tooted that thing and.
It's a bulb horn.
Oh, nice.
It's got a exhaust whistle too. It's
Oh.
actually a train whistle, so it has to be running to do that. But that is kind of fun too.
I bet so. Yeah, I mean, this is really, back in the day, this was, and it still is, very luxurious. You
Yes.
know, the way that it's outfitted with the upholstery and such.
This is 1950 upholstery, and I've got it scheduled to get a new interior put in this winter. I was planning to last winter, but he was too busy.
Well, 1950, that's holding up
It's
pretty
held up
good.
well,
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just amazing. I guess the older I get, the more amazed I get at that, to see things from so long ago.
Yes.
I mean, in 1950, this was an old car.
Yes.
Yes,
it
it's
was.
pretty amazing.
It's.
They got
I find it.
so that's how you get to the engine, huh?
That's what we're doing.
Wow.
So there's the engine.
Holy cow.
It's a 2-cylinder. It's 5-inch bore, 5-inch stroke, which is very large. It's got a lot of low end torque. The other cylinder was under your feet in the
Okay.
back.
Okay. And so you got what, 2 spark plugs?
Yes.
Okay.
This
One-
is the front jug and spark plug.
Uh-huh.
It's got an aluminum block. One of the things that's very unique about it, the carburetor mounts on the block. It's an aluminum casting, and the intake manifold is built into the block.
I'll be
And
darned.
it's also built into the head. So that's very unique, and that's a Fred Duesenberg design. He was very
Innovative,
good engineer.
yeah.
Oh, very innovative.
Yeah. Wow, that is incredible. So up front, you basically got the radiator.
Yeah, and the gas tank is
And
under the hood.
Oh, I'll be darned. Okay.
Got about a 15-gallon gas tank.
Okay.
It's chain drive.
Oh, I see that down here.
It drives off the crankshaft. This is where you crank it,
Okay. Huh.
and then it's got open chain differential,
Look at that.
and it's offset because the ruts in the road. If you had it in the center, you could drag,
Oh,
and you'd get your chain dirty. It actually
Gotcha.
originally had a cover on it.
and the roads in 1909 were a lot different than they are
were.
today.
They were.
Yeah.
If they had a road, it was dirt.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. If there's one thing I should have asked you about this car that I didn't, well, I already know one thing I want to ask you is, what's the feeling you get when you're driving on the road?
I love it. I mean, I love 2-cylinder cars. That's why I wanted this one. But it's just so much fun to me to be out there. And there's so many things that you see that you don't see in a regular car.
Yeah, because you're going too fast.
Yes.
You know, and this it makes you slow down and appreciate
It does.
things.
And the noise, I
Yeah.
just love the sound of the engine.
Yeah.
So,
Well, anything else I should have asked you?
not that I can think of.
Well, Wes, I sure appreciate you being on the program. I definitely appreciate the ride.
You're welcome.
It's
Very
been
welcome.
awesome.
It's been fun.
Thanks. thanks to Cindy Sale and all the folks at the Red Flag Horseless Carriage Tour. It's been a great morning we spent together. These folks are going to be cruising. They're going to go from New London to Brighton tomorrow, which will be September 28th. You'll be seeing this at all kinds of different times. So next year, for September 2025, make sure that you're a part of this and can see it in person. I want to thank our sponsors: Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Hinshaw Trailer Sales, Girling Repair, B&B Propane and the family of Jet Stops, and Blue Dog Lawn Care. And I want to thank you again for watching. And I'm your host, John Bain. Stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.